Hi everyone, thanks for having me. So today I'm going to present like some of the data that we have been running as like a part of a bigger project studying prosocial behavior in adults and adolescents. So prosociality has been defined as a set of behaviors that we do voluntarily that helps and benefit other people and include behaviors such as helping, sharing, maintaining positive attitudes towards others, and showing interest or like concern for their well-being. So prosociality begins to develop from early years of one's life, alongside with the development of social cognition and social understanding all the way through adolescence and into early adulthood. So previous research shows that training in skills such as working memory, inhibitory control, or encouraging perspective taking kind of increases prosocial behavior and empathy in adults. However, research on adolescence is quite inconsistent, like in terms of their results, underscoring the importance of this topic, studying this topic in adolescence. So in our study, we had two main aims. First of all, using a big battery of tasks that measure prosociality and social cognitive skills that support it, including perspective taking, working memory, and inhibitory control in a group of adolescents versus adults. And we also wanted to understand how differences in these social cognitive skills predict prosociality, and whether these relationships vary between the groups, like in terms of nature or its strength. And also we included the we kind of made a distinction between social versus cognitive working memory and social versus cognitive inhibition because of the previous studies that have shown a distinctive link in terms of them predicting prosociality. And we recruited 100 people in each group, which were matched in terms of gender to take part in the study. And as you can see, like we use the big battery to measure different aspects of prosociality. So from explicit to implicit attitudes to like kind of like measuring their behaviors, kind of like to what extent they were willing to sacrifice their resources to help other people, social cooperation, for social motivation, and also measure of social understanding or cognitive ability. For measuring the social cognitive predictors, for measuring social and cognitive working memory in the social version, they either had to sort the name of their friends based on an adjective, or and in the cognitive version, they had to do it based on alphabetical order. For the social and cognitive inhibitory control, for social inhibition, they either had to imitate the finger movements by somebody else or had to stop themselves from imitating the finger movement by another hand. And in the cognitive version, they simply had to kind of respond to a colored arrow with their own finger, and the fingers in the pictures didn't move, basically. For measuring perspective taking, they had to either count the balls from their own perspective or a Lego figure's perspective. And we also measured features of their social network, including size, diversity, and its embeddedness. So in regards with our first aim, just comparing the groups in terms of all of these tasks, we found that adults had a better performance on all of the social cognitive predictors, including social cognitive working memory, the inhibitory control tasks, and also the perspective taking. On the other hand, we found that adolescents had bigger, more diverse, and more embedded social networks compared to adults. In terms of developmental prosociality, out of 8 on 5 of the tasks, basically adults showed higher prosocial tendencies compared to adolescents. As you can see, that this included both in terms of attitudes and behavior. So to kind of study the second aim, we use multi-group analysis, which kind of allows us not just to look at the relationship between the predictors and outcome variables, but it also allows us to see whether this the nature of this relationship varies between the groups. So it kind of helps us to see whether these paths, whether they have the same group across the groups or whether they vary. So what we included all of those social cognitive predictors and measure of social network as the predictors in our model, and measure of prosociality in the as the outcome variables. So here you can only see the ones that were shown like a significant relationship just because of the space. So as just to note that the solid lines kind of shows the constraint paths, which means that they were the same across the groups. And the bold ones is like that when they vary between the groups. And the ones that are like dotted, it's just basically the ones that were like either unconstrained and wasn't significant in one, or was like, yeah, they vary in terms of the groups again. So as you can see, across both groups, cognitive working memory, perspective taking, and social network, to some extent, kind of predicted their behavior on the prosocial task. And we also found a negative relationship between social inhibition and one of the tasks, which is called prosocial cyberball. I think somebody actually mentioned it earlier. So this kind of like makes sense because when participants found to stop themselves from imitating another person, they also were more likely to include that person in the online game when they were excluded from the game. And in terms of the relationship in the adolescence group, as you can see, they were quite similar. In the adolescence, the cognitive working memory, perspective taking, and social network also predicted some of their behaviors on the prosocial task, but social network played a very significant part in the adolescence group. So just to kind of summarize, what we found is that, as we predicted, adults outperform adolescents on most of the social cognitive tasks and the prosocial tasks, which shows the continued kind of development from adolescence to early adulthood. Across the full sample, prosocial behavior was predicted by individual differences in cognitive working memory, perspective taking, and social network, the characteristics of the social networks. In the adults group, perspective taking, social network appeared to be the strongest predictors, but there was some evidence of social inhibitory control and cognitive working memory also modulating the prosocial skills. In the adolescence group, as I mentioned, social networks seem to be the most, play the most significant role, even though there was some relationship between perspective taking and cognitive working memory as well. But it seems that this perspective taking and executive function skills seems to be less fully developed or integrated, while skills such as prosociality are utilized. And just to tell you what we are up to at the moment, we have been recruiting the same people like adolescents coming back to the lab. So we are now in the middle of data collection for time 4. So just to track these dynamic changes across these skills and also their social network, to be able to kind of more go into the causal relationships between these predictors. Yeah, thank you so much.